Welcome to Or Something Like That,
the podcast where you can talk shit with your besties.
We're your hosts, Sam
and Hollis. Be sure to follow us on social and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode.
And if you love us, give us that 5-star review. The video's recording.
Oh, nice. No, I know. I look at myself and I'm just like, that is not what I look like.
No.
Anyways, we're back.
Oh, are we recording now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We are. We're here.
Reality bites? Check. Reality check.
Reality check episode. We would love some feedback on our last episode, the Titanic episode.
Yeah.
I will say it did not get as many listeners as a typical episode.
You know, I had got a DM from a friend of ours who was like, well, I had no idea you were such a Leo person. And I was like, well, I mean, not so much anymore, but 4th grade, you catch me in 4th grade. Yeah.
Yeah.
And He was like, I've actually never seen it.
What? Titanic?
Yeah. And I was like, what? I was like, well, if you have 3.5 spare hours, it's a good watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe our demo audience just has never caught it. I find that hard to believe, but
yeah. Well, I also, obviously right now a lot of our listeners are friends and family and people kind of localish to the area. And it was spring break, which I feel like maybe affected the numbers a little bit with people traveling. True. But yeah, it didn't. It wasn't our best.
Slap. I know. I was very excited about it. I was like, this one's really going to send us.
Yeah.
It's going to go viral.
Well, and I will say that people still want to pretend like they don't like it.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, Titanic's stupid.
Yeah,
I'm not listening
to
that. Stupid.
It definitely does have that. And,
it's not stupid.
Just
embrace
lean
it.
into it. Yeah.
So I think we'll do a couple more of those and see how they fare. Maybe it'll be, since they are so topical, it could be that, just depending on the amount of interest in that particular thing. So we have a couple of ideas for On Deck. And
they're more like deep cuts.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Yes.
No, they're not like huge blockbusters.
Right.
So I think they'll be a little bit more.
And, I think we're self-aware enough to know that, sure, Titanic could be something that maybe we like that other people don't like as much. But I just stand by the fact that I think you just need to get over yourself because you will like it. Yeah. And it's not stupid.
Yeah. I mean, I have to have that conversation with myself often because I am the type of person who wants to pretend
go against the grain.
Yeah. Just like innately. And then I have to be like, but why? Why am I refusing myself?
Why things are popular.
Yeah. And why am I refusing myself to enjoy things because I think it's not cool enough? Like,
right.
I'm going to be missing out on so many enjoyable things.
I do think we all do that to an extent for whatever reason. I don't know. And obviously it is okay to not like something that everybody else likes. I mean, we all have different opinions, and that's what that's
and
I
feel like
thing.
You can also recognize that maybe something isn't
for you,
or that maybe something isn't quote unquote good, but it's still entertaining and fun to watch.
Yes.
Like we talked about that. Like maybe the writing isn't top notch, but it's still like it's entertainment.
Right. And I do think
are you still having a good time watching it? That's
love story aspect that people want to like think is so corny, or like they think that that's the whole focus of the movie, which it is to an extent, but there's so much more going on too, you know? And quite frankly, that is the part that's the most enjoyable if you just lean into it and let it.
Yeah. And I mean, this relates a lot too to reality television, is that why do we poo-poo things that in entertainment? Why does it all have to be so thought-provoking? Same thing with comedy shows.
Not everything has to be profound.
Exactly. Yeah. Like sometimes I don't need
including this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're hardly profound.
Not everything has to be a revelation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think about that with comedy too. Like I miss comedies of, the last couple decades that were just fun and funny and stupid and silly. Like I don't need everything to make me think about the world.
Right.
So sometimes I just want to be entertained.
You just want to laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you just want to not think about the world.
Right.
And how, we're becoming Gilead. We don't want to think about that.
No, sure don't. I think about it too often.
Right. So yeah, I agree. It's like it doesn't have to be.
And I think that's why I enjoy
so deep all the time.
Right. And that's why I enjoy reality TV.
Exactly. Me too.
Because
reality TV is a great example of it being both.
Yeah.
You know, you have this like ridiculous like fighting and all these petty things that are going on that's just entertaining, but then it also highlights very relatable issues for women and very relatable scenarios of things that they're going through in their real life, you know?
Yeah.
And so I feel like it does both. And
right.
It's also something that's given women, especially, a big platform.
Yeah.
Which is also great. You know, again, it's a double-edged sword. There's good things about that and bad things about it. But overall, I think in terms of women having a voice and having a platform, there's more good than there is not good happening there. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a great example of something that embodies both.
Yeah. And yeah, because I think about this all the time. It's like, why do I like watching these shows, you know? And I try to think critically about like what is enjoyable about them, because I have this hang up of like, God, reality
because you don't want people to judge you for being like, why are you watching that trash?
Right, exactly. Yeah. But it is interesting that the dynamic of relationships that women experience and their emotions and watching them play them out is deemed unworthy of entertainment.
It's deemed as trash.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, it's just like, why? Just because men don't do it? Just because men don't have complicated relationships and talk about their emotions and feel a full spectrum of them? Right. And I understand, you know, in society, men aren't often allowed that. Yeah. Because of their own, you know, I don't even know the word
societal
for it.
Constructs about what it means to be masculine and be a man. But
it is, you know, I think it's a little bit obvious that is part of the problem. Yeah. That like talking about your emotions and your relationships and the complications between them is seen as unvaluable to a lot of people.
Exactly. Yeah.
And silly. You know?
Yeah.
But anyways, a little rant there, but
no, we love a rant. We're here for a rant.
I mean, that's kind of what the podcast is about.
Yes. And we also here at this podcast embody both the ability to be shallow and deep.
Yes, exactly.
That's what we're here to do.
We are layered, complex individuals.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so should we get into it?
Yeah, that being said. What's going on in reality TV?
The first thing I want to talk about is Jax's press release about his addiction, which I don't think is a huge surprise to any of us.
Yeah, it's surprising that it took so long for this aspect of it to come to light.
Yeah. If for those of you listening that maybe didn't see this or don't know, he first broke the news on the Hot Mic podcast, which is hosted by Alex Baskin, who's a producer of Vanderpump Rules and The Valley.
No relation to Carol Baskin. I looked into that.
Oh, okay. No relation. The Baskin Robbins?
No, Carol Baskin from The Tiger Show.
Oh my God, Tiger King?
Tiger King, yeah.
Jeez Louise. I was like, Baskin Robbins?
No relation to 23 flavors. Sorry, guys.
31 flavors.
Oh, why did I say 23?
I don't know.
God.
Because that's Dr. Pepper. That's 23 flavors, which is a whole why would you want to drink a soda with 23 different flavors?
I mean, Mr. Pepper was just tossing shit in the
vat. He like completely careless.
No rhyme or reason.
Yeah. Anyway.
Did I ever tell you about the house? This is a sidebar. The house in my parents' neighborhood. I don't know why this cracked me up so bad, but you know how some people put fly flags in their yard?
Oh, yes.
The American one, but then they always have the American flag, but then they have a rotating flag below that with just like random stuff. Yeah. And for months, it was just the Dr. Pepper logo.
Why not?
Flying on this flag. You're like, this is a DP house. Don't even fucking think about bringing Mr. Pibb.
With Mr. Pibb.
No. We stand proud with Dr. Pepper. I just thought that was so funny. Anyway,
so yeah, he first said it on the podcast, and I took some notes when I was listening to it because I knew we would be talking about it, and I just think this is kind of funny. And just to clarify, he came out and said that he's been addicted to cocaine for like 20 years, basically.
Yeah,
and that. Sorry, but I know. And that he doesn't necessarily think he has a problem with alcohol aside from cocaine, but because they go hand in hand for him, it's like he is sober now from both of those. He said he had been sober for California sober. So he's still, smoking the weed. But I think he said like 80 days or something. So the notes that I took after listening to it, I said, honestly, this is the most authentic and vulnerable I think I've ever heard him be. And I said, obviously he's still Jax, but I do feel like he took accountability for more things than he really ever has in the past. I don't think the addiction is a big surprise to anyone, but it feels like he's finally being able to be honest with himself and hopefully like truly getting the help that he needs.
Yeah.
And he did say, that he's going to therapy once a week and this and that and some other things. So then Brittany on her own podcast, I think. Yeah. Her and Kristen did an episode in direct response to Jax's.
In direct response to the whole episode?
To him.
Oh, dang. That seems, it's just like such a weird thing that they each have their podcasts and they're like responding to each other's statements on their own podcast.
Yeah. And they've kind of been doing this like since she filed for divorce, to be honest. They were both on the Hot Mic podcast before talking about the divorce. But she said that she recorded 31 lies during his Hot Mic podcast.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so after listening to hers, I was like, okay, I mean, it felt, and Jax is very good at doing that.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. All that to say, I hope for the sake of their son that he is, because she was saying he's not going to therapy. He said he was going to AA. As far as I know, he's not doing any of that.
Yeah.
So I hope that he's on the right path to truly getting better for his kid.
It sounds like Jax's number one problem, that is the true root of all of his issues, is that he's a pathological liar. Mm-hmm. And he can't be honest with himself or anybody else, which is like, if you can't get over that, no healing is going to happen, my friend.
Yeah, I know.
And I feel like I heard him say too that something like, a lot of our fights were because, I was using drugs and I was getting messed up all the time. And then the next day I was just I felt horrendous and strung out.
Yeah.
It's like, and it was just, everything set me off. And it's like, no wonder. No wonder what was seen. And I'm not saying he doesn't struggle with mental health issues and bipolar disorder isn't truly a factor here.
He has been diagnosed with bipolar. I mean, that's true. But
that's what I wonder about, the way mental health issues and substance use issues
are intertwined,
are co-occurring disorders, but how they induce each other,
right?
And that like, is his bipolar disorder exasperated because he's constantly physically sending himself in these ups and downs?
I'm sure. It's just absolutely. Yeah. And I guess so. He had mentioned too about being on Lexapro, and he didn't really understand why that wasn't helping. And Brittany's like, he never filled that prescription. It's still in my drawer. And she was saying, he says he only was angry with me and yelling at me when he was hungover. And she's like, no, none of that is true. He had said something about how his kind of realization moment was he had gotten upset with her in the car because a text message popped up on her phone and it was like plugged into the thing. So he saw it and it was from a guy and that he was hungover. So he blew up and then he turned around and like saw his son and was like, oh, it's time to get help. And she's like, that's not true. He was already screaming and yelling at me before that text message even came up. Just stuff like that where she's 31 lies.
Oh my gosh.
And she only called out like maybe 6 or 7 of them, So it's just sad. It's like every time there's a big breakthrough, quote unquote, with him where you're like hoping it's gonna turn a corner and he's gonna really do the work and get himself real help, she just comes out and is like, you guys don't let him fool you.
It's like, at what point are we just like, okay, whatever, man? Like, good luck to you, but
we are now.
We're tired of
I always want to root for people, and especially they have a young son, and but at a certain point it's like sayonara, dude. Like, sorry, I don't, so, but Alex Baskin said that this is the best season of reality TV he's ever filmed.
Oh, The Valley? Yeah.
Yes. And he's a producer on The Valley. He was a producer on VPR. He's a producer, I think, on almost every Housewives franchise, if not all of them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the trailer looked good.
Yeah. So I think it'll be a good season. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what plays out with him and her on this season. And Michelle and Jesse's storyline looks juicy.
Mm-hmm. So all the
him calling her
oh my god, that guy sucks.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, I cannot imagine being married to that douchebag.
No, I know.
Yikes.
Yeah. So anyway, it's gonna be a good one, I think.
Yeah.
All right, shall we move on to okay, so I do not watch the Traitors. I did try to watch a couple of episodes. It just was not for me. I've never been super into the competition shows.
Well, and that's what's weird about the Traitors is because honestly, I watched the whole season. I enjoy it, but the competition part, the game part, I checked out.
Yeah.
I was doing something else. The whole show is just them in the house scheming with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, a good portion of the episodes is that competition part because they do have to have the games because that's how they win the money.
Yeah.
And that does spur, some of the drama and conspiracy. Yeah. But, the good parts of the show are just them in the house scheming against each other.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. But they had a good cast this year.
Yeah.
And we got a new reality sweetheart, Gabby Windham.
Nice.
She is hysterical. She was on The Bachelor. She was a contestant.
Okay.
That's how, because all the Traitors are reality stars, and she was on the show. She was one of the winners of the Faithfuls. That's what they call them.
Yeah.
And now she's hysterical. She has an Instagram presence. She's since come out as a lesbian since The Bachelor and is married to a woman now. And she just says the most hysterical things and has a podcast where she just it's her sitting with sunglasses on, just talking into a microphone.
About whatever?
Yeah. And, she's just got really great one-liners. She's been doing, the circuit after the show and
circuit and
just being hysterical. She kind of talks like Jennifer Coolidge a little bit.
I love that.
Yeah, she's awesome. You should check her out. She's hysterical.
Nice. Yeah, the only reason I brought it up is because I know you watch it, but then I watched or listened to old Sandoval on the Not Skinny But Not Fat podcast, and he was talking about it. Yeah, and just kind of his little sort of redemption.
Yeah, he made it pretty far.
And that it was nice because for the most part, nobody hated him from that
thing.
I mean, they kind of just let it go, and he was able to really play the game. And
it was funny, though.
And if there's anything about Tom Sandoval, he does take things seriously.
Oh, so seriously. And he has no self-awareness of, how people see him,
right?
Or how he really behaves, which hey, props to him. I wish I had a couple ounces of that.
Right.
It's just I believe in myself, and I am doing my thing with 100%,
and I'm giving it 100%. Yeah.
I wish I had a little bit more of that, but it was funny because everything he did on the show, people were just Tom. It's just oh, you're so dumb. Everything he says is kind of wrong.
Yeah.
But he did make it kind of far, and it was funny. He had one episode where he called out the traitor, and he was right. Mm-hmm. And then he was just I did it.
Yeah.
He was just so proud of himself. And it's a little boy kind of. You're just oh.
Yeah.
Tom.
And one thing that they mentioned on there, which I wanted to ask you if you agreed, is they think it could add an extra layer and be a little bit more fun for the audience if the audience didn't know who the Traitors were.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because they have to. That's the thing is they go through all these phases where they have original Traitors, then they bring new Traitors in, then they have this thing called the seer where the traitor can select somebody, which I feel a lot of that could be solved. Yeah. If the viewer didn't know who the Traitors were.
Because they were Tom said, then the audience could kind of play along with us and they'd be forming their own alliances and all this stuff. And I just think it would be, better. But anyway.
Yeah, I find it entertaining. And Alan Cumming is awesome.
Yeah.
His outfits alone are enough to watch.
Worth watching.
Yeah.
I might give it another shot and we'll see.
Yeah. And
just the whole cloaks and hoods and I'm like, oh my gosh.
I love that. I think it's like dramatic in the perfect way where it's like super. I think that's kind of the joke, is that like it's really over the top and like in a camp way kind of that I enjoy.
All right. How are we liking Denise Richards and her wild things?
I really like it.
Yeah.
I love Denise Richards. I feel like that's like quintessential reality TV.
Yeah.
You know, because she's a celebrity, but she is actually, you know, I know this is so like overused, these words, but it does seem so genuine.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that like she is a celebrity, of course her life is unrelatable because she is, you know, famous and rich, but she and her family just seem like super down to earth people.
Right. Well, and it's almost like when reality shows like The Housewives, because obviously that's, I can't remember if she did anything before Housewives that was reality. I don't think so. But when these other women come on to a Housewives franchise, they're pretty much nobodies in terms of fame, or, you know, maybe they have a presence on social media a little bit, or have something they want to promote, like Rebecca Minkoff and her purse line.
Yeah.
So maybe they're a little well known, like in their town or in a specific industry, but they're not famous. Whereas Denise Richards was already a wildly famous actress when she went on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So now when she has this show of her own, it does make it, to your point, feel more authentic, because this is truly her lifestyle and has been. Whereas with people coming on to a Housewives franchise, they become that as we're watching them on the show. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they're not necessarily already living that glamorous like lifestyle, whereas like she is, like that is truly her real life. Yeah. You know, so.
And I feel like she has a less glamorous lifestyle than a lot of the housewives do.
Yeah, because she doesn't do a glam squad and like all of that stuff. But
and because I feel like too, her portrayal, what people assume about her from her career in the past, is very different than who she is as a person. Yeah. So it's like, it really does feel like reality TV. It feels like you're seeing this true side to her. Yes. And I mean, their family dynamic is wild. Yeah. You know, her father of her children, or one of her children, being Charlie Sheen. Yeah. You know, just that whole dynamic. You get to see like some of her other family members. Right. You know, she has a relationship with Charlie Sheen's ex, who has a child. Yes, and like, you know, it's just a really interesting look into a celebrity's life, where it's just like, oh wow. Much different than you assume a celebrity's life to be. Yeah. And it's less exploitative and weird with the kids in it. Because I was Denise and her wild things. That. I was like, this could get into ick territory really quickly. But I don't think it is. It doesn't feel that way.
I'm not quite caught up. I've only watched the first 2 episodes. I do like that they're just a half hour, which is nice. Yeah. It is interesting to see the different paths her daughters have taken. Yeah. I mean, you know, for those listening, if you don't know, one has really sort of taken more of a path similar to Denise's, and the other one is very religious. And Denise does mention at one point about how she raised them both Catholic. Now, raising someone Catholic, that can mean a lot of things. Yeah. Like, did we just say we're Catholic, or did we go to church? Did you get confirmed? Did you do all these things? Right. I don't know. And it's just like, oh, we're Catholic. Right. You know, that's kind of how I see it. But yeah, it was interesting to see how Sammy is very much, you know, kind of taken the more unconventional path in terms of pursuing, I don't know, modeling, and she does the OnlyFans. And then Lola is very religious, and in the first couple of episodes, that's really all she's talked about.
Yeah, it seems to be the focus of her life.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out throughout the series. And
there's an episode where she goes with her daughter to get a nose job.
I'm not worried about you spoiling it. I don't want to hear.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty heartbreaking. I mean, we talk about this often, and I think we plan to talk about it further in future episodes, but just, you know, the complexity of that, of women augmenting their face, you know, in many different ways, and how, the complex feelings about that, especially when it's your child, because, you know, and I thought she did a really great job.
I assume it was Sammy that.
Yeah. You know, she took her to the appointments, supported her fully, but she did cry and was, heartbroken that she feels like she needed to do that. And it was really eye-opening to see her, you go to like the reveal of her getting the bandages removed and how happy she was.
Yeah.
And how she finally was like, I'm beautiful now.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's on one hand, you're like, hey, do what you want. Right. To your face, whatever makes you happy. But then it's also like,
why
I hate
she
that
felt like that's what she had to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was that her nose is her father's nose. And she looks a lot like Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, she does.
And how that has followed her whole life.
Yeah.
So, it's not, there's a lot of dynamics at play.
Nuanced.
Yeah, but it's one of those things I struggle with that too, where it's just like, I don't have an issue with people doing it, but it's also like, it sucks that so many people feel it's
like
necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. That reminds me a lot of, did you ever watch The Hills? When Heidi did her reveal to her mom.
Oh, I didn't watch the show at the time, but I've seen those clips.
Oh, my God.
And when she goes over, like, all the things she got done.
And it wasn't just a nose job. I mean,
it was a lot.
She did a lot. But, yeah, I feel like that's just one of those, like, reality TV moments that's just cemented in my mind. That, her going home to Montana or wherever she's from. And I just made that up. I don't know if it's Montana. But... yeah,
Heidi,
going home
Montana.
To see her mom and her mom just bawling, Yeah,
well, and that must be hard as a mother,
For sure. Yeah.
And it's one thing to be like, as a person, to say, I'm totally fine with other women, adult women, doing whatever they want and making their own choices. But when it's your daughter,
I wouldn't want anyone judging me.
Right. But I feel like, as a mom, I mean, I'm not a mom, but I would imagine it's difficult. It would be difficult to watch your child do it.
Right.
Because you're like, you're so perfect.
You're so perfect, right?
Exactly how you are. And
Yeah, I know. And it's one of those things where it really is so hard because I'm trying so hard to instill in my daughters that, this whole idea of like body neutrality and like it isn't about what you look like at all, and it shouldn't be, and it shouldn't have anything to do with anything, and I just want them to be happy and have positive relationships with food and with their bodies and their faces, but yet at the same time, like, I struggle so much to do that for myself. And there's not, I'm not going to sit here and say that if I had the resources that some of these women have, that I wouldn't have done something, or,
and but you want better for your children. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
I know. But it starts with you.
Yeah.
And that's where real change happens. It's like, we can do the best that we can do for our kids, but if we can't do it for ourselves, it's like, how can you really do it for someone else? It's similar to like, you can't love someone else until you fully love yourself. And it's really hard. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. And it's also, regardless of being able to do it for yourself, society's not doing it for you. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like pretty privilege isn't a thing. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I haven't been treated differently. There's been multiple instances, just a quick example of taking my children to like the doctor or somewhere as benign as that. And I have noticed at times being treated differently, times when I have makeup on and my hair is done and I maybe have a cute outfit on, than when I just like look like a complete mess because,
Oh, yeah.
And you really do. It's like you're sitting here going, this person thinks I'm not as good of a mom because of how I look right now.
Yeah.
And I can tell a difference sometimes. And it's just like, it's insane. You know what I mean?
I know. And it's that thing where it's like, okay, so do we fall into what works and what society is currently to make our lives easier now? Right. Or do we try to move the needle forward by resisting?
I know.
But possibly
at our own
having
detriment.
The repercussions.
Yeah. I know.
I mean, it's just like, it's an impossible thing. And this is a female problem mostly.
It is.
I mean, everyone experiences judgment based on their appearance.
Yes,
everyone.
Yes.
But it is undeniable that females suffer that at a much different degree than men do. I think that is fair to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's also, I feel like we're so with celebrities too, so much of their livelihood and their job is based on their looks,
right?
You know, so it's like we're so critical of what they do,
right?
But it's also just like, yeah, but we expect them to be perfect, and we look at them constantly and are picking apart their appearance. Like, yeah, no wonder they all get veneers.
Oh,
and the veneers thing. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, the veneers are out of control.
Yeah, because they look. Nobody's teeth look like that. That's the thing. Like, also, it's like, too perfect.
Do you know what you have to do to get veneers?
I have 2 veneers.
Do you?
Yeah, these 2.
Oh wow. But
so yeah, I do. They have to they grind them down to nubs. Yes, I know. But, it's like, very painful.
All of your teeth?
I can't imagine. This was awful. I was like probably 8. Oh, man. The dog had some tennis balls in a sock and was like, and whacked me right in the face.
Oh shit.
And broke them off.
Broke them off. Mm-hmm. Oh God, that's like my worst fear.
It was horrible.
I bet.
And you have to have these like temporary caps put on while they create the veneers. And yeah, it was very painful.
Oh man. Yeah, it's hard to imagine doing that
going through that just as a cosmetic.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously mine was out of necessity.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you.
No, but that's like standard now.
Because you know who gets criticism for that a lot? And he's always like, I'm never going to do it.
Who?
Andy Cohen. People always tell him, "Oh, you should get."
But that's the thing. He has a great smile.
Yeah, and his teeth aren't perfect.
No,
I mean,
but
he has kind of they're a little crooked and like whatever, but it's so endearing.
No, but that's the thing. Like this perfect teeth, perfect factory teeth are the only way to have a beautiful smile. I hate that. I push back, and I've gone through Invisalign.
Right.
I mean, like I'm not casting judgment about people like wanting their teeth to look better, because mine were incredibly pushed forward, and so I did Invisalign, and they're not perfect, but they're better, and I do have a lot more confidence.
Yeah,
I'm not embarrassed anymore.
Anything that brings somebody confidence, I don't, I would never want to. I mean,
but the thing that I hate is that like we now think that veneer
that's
perfect
the only
teeth is the standard.
Thing.
Yeah. Where it's like I miss the days where it's like
and we're judging people who choose not to fix it or do
and that
something
is true.
About
my brother and I had this conversation because my brother had adult braces.
Yeah,
and he's a lawyer, and he was like, there really is. It is a class thing now where people see your teeth, and if you don't have well manicured teeth, you are seen as lower class. Mm-hmm. You are respected less. You are taken less seriously. Yeah. It is true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a reality, which is, I mean, in America, I guess it's not the same. And, no, it's a completely different culture in like the UK. That is not a thing.
No, but it is. Remember when, is it Lorde got popular and she was always singing about teeth?
Yeah.
And people were like, what is this about? And in New Zealand, where she's from, I think it's New Zealand. It's a big thing there, a big class thing.
Really?
Like all the upper class people have like perfect teeth and like, And so, I mean,
And I wonder like if that will ever trend back. Because you know how trends go.
Yeah.
Especially with like.
Where it'll be considered like a beauty mark, like a little beauty quirk to have like a crooked tooth.
Yeah. I almost feel like tattoos are like coming into that. Where, they used to be really taboo. Tattoos, and you were judged for having them, and now they become so popular where like every guy has a sleeve, you know what I mean? And now it's almost, I feel like it's almost tipping to uncool.
I agree.
What I mean?
It's like, tipping back the other way where it's like almost like, oh, you don't have any tattoos, like that's like you're now the rarity,
right? Or what a square. Or even sometimes when I see, I mean, yes, I totally agree with that, but I almost sometimes think like when I see like a dude with like just a phoned in obligatory tattoo sleeve, I'm like, oh God, that's just like the cool guy outfit. You know what I mean? Like not all of them. There are some you can tell it's nuanced where it's like, you're into tattoos.
Right.
And there's some guys who go and they're just like, just give me a sleeve.
But then like,
so I can automatically look cool.
Yeah.
And it's like,
but then uncool. Like at what point are we like, why are we judging?
Yeah. I know.
You know?
And that's the thing.
So, like,
I have these thoughts, but whatever. At the same time, I know. That did sound very judgmental. What I just said, but
mean, and I don't mean to call you out. I just mean, because I do that myself too, where it's like, but clearly that person
likes it.
Like we don't know the motive for it, and that could be. They could have walked into a tattoo shop and been like, I don't really care. I just want some tattoos because like it's a thing, or like you know,
like that's their prerogative. I'm obviously making wild assumptions about people, but I just, it's funny to see the phases of things. You know?
No, I agree, and I'll never forget this sitting in, because I have a music tattoo of a band that I like, and I'll never forget sitting in this class, and I can't remember what the class was now in college, but we were talking about tattoos. And I remember somebody was like, don't get band tattoos. And like, I just remember being like, and I remember feeling like so self-conscious about it. And then of course it's one of those things where you're like thinking about it. And then of course I had like the perfect response.
Oh, later.
Like,
you're like,
you know, like 4 days later.
Yeah.
But it's like, like what makes you the authority on tattoos? Cool? Like, you should get a tattoo because it means something to you.
Right.
You know, or not even. Who cares? If you like it, get it. Like, you don't have to get it if you don't like it. It's not your body. So, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. I agree, where it's like I do feel like they got trendy. Yeah. And then everybody wanted one, and everybody was suddenly, it's like every person you see now has a sleeve, whereas 20 years ago it was not like that.
Well, and like you said, it's probably now just people aren't afraid to get them. Yes. Because there isn't the judgment that used to be, that used to come with them, which that is cool, because I have one tattoo. I'm not drawn to getting them, but I think they're awesome. I am very attracted to men with tattoos. I'm not gonna lie. I just am.
It depends for me, but
it has, they have to be. Obviously.
They have to be tattoos I'm not judging. They have to be not just because you wanted a sleeve.
The double standards are just flying around this conversation, but
oh man.
But I heard one of my favorite comedians, Caleb Heron, say this on his podcast the other day, and I've been trying to like remember that as I walk through my life, that it's cool if I'm doing it. Which is an attitude I like to have for myself and apply it to other people. That like, what's cool? Whatever you're doing.
Yes.
So just let that, guide you. And I have to remember that too when I'm thinking about other people. Like you said, they like that tattoo. That's great.
Yeah.
Who the fuck
am I to
say what's cool and what isn't?
Exactly. And, I feel like that feeds into this thing I'm trying really hard to do with my kids, where it's like, don't steal someone else's joy. Yeah. Don't steal someone else's happiness, and that kind of evolved out of don't yuck somebody's yum, because I've really tried to instill that, because I've heard so many people talking about being made fun of in school because nobody understood what they were eating because it was something they hadn't seen before. And so we don't say ooh, we don't say, you can just say no thank you. Yeah. And it's okay to maybe say like, oh, I don't really like that, or I don't enjoy that, or it's not for me. I'm like, but we really want to try not to yuck other people's yum. And that the bigger picture is like, we don't want to steal somebody's joy. If somebody's doing something and it's something that you don't like doing, it doesn't need to be said.
Right.
It doesn't need to be said.
Yeah, you don't. Your opinion does not need to be voiced all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, like you can have your opinion, and I feel like that's the thing too with judgment. It's like, of course we are all judgmental because we all have opinions and thoughts, and but it's like, when do you voice them, and how do you let that judgment?
Right. If somebody asks,
define what you think about somebody. Yeah. And I know what I just said about the obligatory arm tattoos was sleeve tattoos sounded very judgmental. I am not out here judging people's tattoos.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make me think any differently of you as a person. Right. It's just an observation.
Yes.
But just wanted to say that because now I feel bad.
No, it's okay. But no, I mean, but I love that. Like, if you're doing it, it's cool. If they're doing it, it's cool because it's cool to them. And so what if it's not cool to you? Like, who is the authority on cool? Who cares? Right. Like, if it sparks joy, then it's cool.
Yeah. Amen.
All right. So let's quickly get into the topic of the episode, Beverly Hills, because we are running a little short on time here. Okay, so Erica really calling out Sutton.
Love it. Here for it. Needed to happen.
It needed to happen. Here's the thing. The one thing. I always say that. We're aware of the things that we always say. 100%. Absolutely. Here's the thing.
That should be a segment. Here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
Yeah. New segment coming in hot. Okay, so here is the thing.
Sutton, she apologized for the wallet comment, fine, but it changes nothing about the fact that she truly believes that.
I also don't accept that apology. That apology was weak.
Yeah.
You know, I know that it's a film TV show, so of course they have to do...
And Dorit got a lot of criticism from even her sidekick, Bose, about not
accepting it. Yeah, which I thought was cool of Bose to push back on her.
I do too.
But I also was like, yeah, I don't blame you.
I don't either.
Because it's not, it's
Erica's
not real.
really the only one who was like, I understand why she's not. You can't just
keep saying I'm sorry, but then this is such a repeating thing on this show, is that they're like, own it. And then apologizing, but then continuing the behavior.
You just hate Lisa Rinna so much.
I don't
always have to circle back to that and be like, own it. It's not real. Nobody's Lisa Rinna, own it. She never owned anything.
I don't hate Lisa Rinna. I just really hate the own it thing. I think it's so annoying. But it's true. She just keeps doing the same thing over and over again. And I love that her apology was just like, it just wasn't me. It's just so unlike me. Bitch, no, it's not. It's exactly like you. You were finally your true self.
Right. And I think it would have been different for me if she would have said, not only should I have not said that, but I truly, truly do not think that. Yeah. It would have been different if she would have addressed that part of it, because she did say, I only said it to hurt you, which I felt like was pretty honest, that part of it, because she did say it to hurt her. But I wish she would have elaborated and said, not only did I say it to hurt you, but I also don't feel that way about you or anyone else. And it was really, really horrible of me to say.
Yeah.
She almost got
there, yeah.
But not quite.
But you know what? That didn't occur to her to say it because it's not how she feels.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I know. And that's where... Yeah, that's where the true colors really shine through.
Yeah.
And it's
kick rocks, lady.
Yeah. I will say, you have made some notes on this too, where I was also a little surprised at Garcelle's jealousy of her trying to like buddy up to Kyle.
Yeah,
it's funny because like Garcelle's never really said anything about this before.
No, but it makes me think like her problems with Kyle all kind of derive from that.
Yeah. Which is
odd.
Why are they all like that? Like,
I don't know.
Is it because
like
they're
only
just
be
like
my friend?
Is it because they're just so concerned with like the backstabbing and all of that they just feel like they need that one alliance?
I guess.
And if they don't have somebody that's just fully loyal to them, then like it's so strange. Because
but it is also weird too. A thing that occurs with all of them is that like, because obviously they get in these conflicts and then they have these confrontations on the show, and they all expect their friends to just come and defend them at no cost,
like,
which is
you
like,
didn't back me up.
I know, it's just like, what are these people supposed to do? You know, the only person I don't see doing that is Sutton, actually. And I know Jennifer Tilly's not like a character on the show,
like a main cast member. Yeah,
but you know, Jennifer Tilly kind of just, and I don't think she's wrong. She's never like, shut up, Sutton's my friend. You know, like she's not doing the come to the defense thing.
No,
Sutton never seems to have an issue with that, which she shouldn't. You know,
right? Yeah,
but it is a thing that like they often do, where they're like, well, you didn't have my back.
Right?
And it's like, well, what did you want me to do?
Garcelle even, you know, I can't remember what situation. I guess it was it on the boat where she pretty much said, I didn't say anything because she didn't have my back last time.
Yeah, and it was like very tit for tat.
Yeah,
it's like, whoa, that's not friendship. Like,
and then,
what is that?
She's...
Well, it's because they had a conversation about, and this is another thing too, which I don't understand why Garcelle is so obsessed with the Morgan Wade thing. Although I do think it is weird. Morgan Wade was on the TV show. Why can't she talk about it? I don't get it. We all want to know. Just
the thing.
Fucking spill the tea. You know what I mean? Like, I think that is kind of whack, and I think it's weird that Garcelle is so obsessed with it, but I also think I want to fucking know too. I want her to talk about it.
We all want to know. I think, if I'm being completely honest, I do think it was just publicity. I think that she played into that whole thing with Morgan Wade. I don't think there was ever any real romance between them. I think it was all for publicity.
I don't think it was romance either.
I think it was a partial. I think her and Morgan were a little bit in cahoots with it. I think Morgan thought it would be good for her career. get her a little bit of visibility, more visibility. I think that Mo is very aware that there's nothing going on there, and that I think they're all in on it a little bit together, and I don't think there's anything seriously going on at all, and it's just something for the press. And
I wonder though if Morgan Wade thought that, because she is a lesbian.
Yeah.
And I think that relationship probably was flirtatious. And I think on Kyle's side, I bet she never intended it to go anywhere. But I bet Morgan Wade was like, this could happen. You know what I mean? I think Kyle tiptoed because she was like, oh, this is fun. I am attracted to her, but it's never going to happen because I'm not actually a lesbian, which I think happens to the LGBT community a lot.
I'm sure.
You know, and that maybe, you know, they remained friends or whatever.
Yeah.
But,
you know, at the same time, I don't think Morgan was completely duped. I do think there was something to gain for her in terms of visibility, you know, opportunity to be on the show a little bit, because she has her music career. I'm sure it was good for her music career to an extent. Yeah, and I don't know what everyone's knowledge and involvement in that was, but I really don't think there's anything to uncover. No, and I think that's what is, and I think at this point, sure, maybe Kyle could just say that.
Yeah.
And everybody would just let it go.
But that's never going to be enough either. I feel like she could tell the truth, say exactly what it was, and people would be like, whoa.
Exactly.
There's something else going on. But circling back to the Garcelle and Sutton part, they had a conversation where Garcelle was like, I want to know what's going on with Morgan Wade. How are we going to get her to talk about this?
Yes.
And
Is that what she meant about her not having her? Okay.
So they kind of had this plan of how to like bring it up to Kyle.
Right.
And Garcelle thought they were going to do it together.
Right.
Garcelle brings up the conversation and Sutton's just like,
That's right.
And then Garcelle was like, what the fuck? We were supposed to,
and then that's why she didn't speak up for Sutton on the boat. And she more or less said that in her confessional.
Yeah, she was pretty blatant about it.
Yeah, and then when she was on Watch What Happens Live, whoever she was on with, I can't remember now, was like, well, why didn't you didn't. She was like, oh, I couldn't get involved in that. And it's like, you said in your confessional it was because she didn't have your back. Like, it was a quid pro quo.
Right, and she also told Sutton that too.
Yeah.
You know, she was like upset and kind of stormed off, and they like kind of had a conversation
about
it.
Their first fight or whatever, So anyway, it was interesting to me to see her jealousy of their. Yeah. I also never really. I wonder how long like Garcelle's been feeling like that, because I don't know. I guess I never really noticed Sutton like trying to.
Not until this season.
Sidle up to Kyle or whatever.
She always seemed like one of the people she was trying to expose. Like, she always seemed like she was coming for Kyle a little bit.
Kind of. Yeah. So.
Which maybe that's where all that came from.
Could be. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it'll be. I'm curious to see how the reunion's going to go with all this Sutton stuff.
So Kyle's conversation with Mo.
Yeah.
It was sad. I mean, it sounds like maybe it's what Kyle needed to move forward with her own path, and she even said as much. It just kind of like gave her permission to move on, which is good. You know, it seems like everybody's pretty clear, or you know, seems to think that it's definitely done.
Yeah, he definitely didn't say anything like, you know, this isn't serious.
Right.
It kind of seemed, his lack of mentioning anything, it was just an apology. Like, I never want to hurt you. But it wasn't like, you know, this is just, it didn't mean anything. It wasn't any kind of that sentiment. So it definitely seemed like, this is not.
Yeah. And the way Bo's, you know, kind of confirmed, like, that's his girl. Yeah. It's very much how that dinner looked, or when she saw them at the restaurant and she was like, I think that's even what she said. Like, that's his girl.
Yeah. They've been seeing each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was funny too. The whole Bo's calling her and giving her the rundown.
I know.
Kyle was kind of like,
not cute.
Also, Kyle just seemed like, I don't really
need that. Yeah.
Thanks. But it was a nice gesture.
It was. Are we still feeling the same about Keely?
I don't know. Verdict's still out on that one. I mean, like, the conversation they had together with her daughter.
It was nice.
Seemed a little bit genuine. Like, okay, he seems more like a real person. reasonable.
Yeah.
You know, his responses were reasonable people responses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, who's to know?
I know.
Maybe a little cooler on the kid thing and just kind of relax and I don't know have a relationship first. And
I mean, he did say he wanted multiple kids though too.
It's just like, what reality are you living in?
I know.
But he also did mention too, like, your mother's health comes first.
Yeah.
Which was like, okay, good. He's not totally out to lunch.
Right.
About this childbearing situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it progresses. But I was dying at Jennifer Tilly being like, my candy spilled. I'm going to need that candy. And it was sprinkles.
I don't remember this part.
Oh my gosh. It's when they first get to St. Lucia. And she's opening her suitcase. Yeah.
She was like, I cannot live without.
I can't live without this candy at 2 a.m. I'm going to need this candy. And it was sprinkles.
Who just down sprinkles.
Anyway, it was hilarious.
That is hilarious. You know what else was hilarious was Kathy Hilton on that runway.
Oh my God. I mean, if that wasn't just like the ultimate Kathy moment.
Yeah. And I mean, you can't plan stuff.
Oh my God. You can't make it up with her.
No. She's just so unique.
She's so hilarious and just.
Too, she's just like so rich elitist that she just, you know, her walking backstage right when the thing's about to start, talking to Sutton. Do you want her to give a speech? Are you in charge of this fashion show? Like, what?
And it's like they hate each other right now. Would you like your enemy to come out here and give a speech?
And even if they didn't, what a wild thing to suggest. Yeah. Like, as the models are about to step out.
I know.
It was quite the production, though. It was kind of funny, like, hearing them.
Okay, but am I the only one who, like, the pool was so weird?
Yeah.
I didn't understand that at all.
And that they just, like, were walking beside it. Like, put some glass over it.
Yeah.
That's what
I was thinking. Like, why couldn't they have built a runway right over the top and have them walk down the middle? But it was just, like, walking around the side of the pool.
Yeah,
it was so
a little
weird.
Odd. And, like, I mean,
not that I've, like, been to a bunch of
fashion shows, but I have watched Project Runway for years.
Yes, that's right.
And, the clothes
and New York Housewives, and they're always going.
Yeah, they did have some funny comments about the clothes, too, because it was just, like, it was just like her everyday line, I feel like. So she did this like huge, very well produced fashion show for very basic clothes.
Yeah, well, and it's about sustainability.
Yeah.
It's not even like,
it's
really
not like
cool. They're couture looks. Yeah. So, I mean, and I don't know, maybe she does sustainable couture looks as well. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it almost like, did it even need a fashion show? No. I don't know, but it's just for fun.
What you
I guess.
For the show, yeah.
But yeah, Kathy running into that.
Oh God,
so good. The best.
She was all like,
Kathy. Oh my God, and she's just so oblivious.
Yeah,
that's it. I mean, she's so oblivious to everything going on around her all the time. And then when she's in, when they're in St. Lucia and she's like, oh, I'm just getting changed. Can you hold on a minute? Yeah. She sets the phone down and then she's just like hours into some like routine and the person's like, Kathy?
And it seems like she's incapable of embarrassment too.
Oh,
like because of her
cannot
oblivion.
Be humbled.
Yeah, like,
no.
You know, they pointed out and she's just like, oh.
Yeah.
I guess it's because she's so oblivious.
Yeah.
But yeah, hysterical.
Which is just so hilarious and also problematic that it's like
yeah. And like when Jennifer Tilly was like, I don't think she knows who I am because she like asked her to get her something and Kyle was like, she just does that with everybody. Her whole life is just everyone's a servant to her. It's just like, man, what a way to live.
Oh man. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, I think the last thing we really have to get into was just Dorit and PK's dinner.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just so uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it wasn't really that revealing.
No.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, not a lot was revealed at the dinner. I mean,
no, and I just feel like there's so much. I've read a lot of comments too about their whole thing being a scam and like they're doing this for money.
I'm so tired of people saying that.
I know, and it's just like, but it does feel like there is stuff going on underneath the surface that like,
I'm sure
we will never know.
I'm sure there is, but
they're hard to get a read on.
I just as a parent and a mother, want to say that, because people said that about Jax and Brittany too.
Yeah.
I don't care how obsessed you are with fame, how, you know, what you were trying to do for a storyline to stay on a show. All of that aside, as mothers, we need to be giving all of these other mothers the benefit of the doubt and saying nobody is going to break up their family home with their children for a fucking storyline.
No.
They're not going to do it.
I don't believe there's validity to any of those claims.
Yeah.
But there's just, I think maybe it's because their relationship has always seemed a little superficial. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so now it's like they have all these issues with each other. It's just like, well.
I think, too, there's just a lot of speculation around, like, what does PK actually do for money?
Yeah.
What did Dorit have anything of her own before she started the show? And there's all of these like lawsuits and these bankruptcy rumors flying around. You know, there's a lot of layers to the financial stuff with them. And so,
and again, too, and maybe they don't know this, but there's also, separation is so strange because it's like, okay, we're separated, but like, what's the end goal? Right. Are we trying to get back together? Are we working on ourselves individually?
They don't seem real clear on that.
Yeah, they don't seem to be on the same page there. So,
right.
Or to, have even.
Well, it's almost like.
Even know for themselves individually what they want.
Right. And I don't know. It's hard to know if PK. I get kind of both from him. I get that maybe he is not sure, but then I also get this like feeling of I think he wants a divorce and he just doesn't want to say it yet.
Yeah.
You know?
He kind of, I got when he was like, "You're my best mate." That to me was just like, that sounds like let's just break up and be co-parents and be best friends kind of situation.
Yeah. I don't know. And there's definitely part of me that is still thinking about what they talked about at the dinner where, you know, he is trying to get some financial things and different things under wraps kind of before, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's trying to be a little bit shady maybe in terms of that, which I could see. So
he always kind of striked me as just a little bit shady of a guy.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Best of luck to you.
Best of luck to you, PK.
Well, I think that's pretty much it. Do we wrap it up?
I think so.
Nice. Well done.
Thanks,
I think we got all of the...
I think we hit the points.
All the things.
Yeah.
Here are the things covered.
Yes. Here are the things.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time. Bye.
3, 2, 1.